everyone. I hope you all enjoyed your first round of breakouts and are taking advantage of all the different areas in the environment. If you haven't already, don't forget to pop over to the exhibit hall to check out all of the amazing resources we have over there. As a reminder, the more you download in the environment, the higher up you're going to rise on the leaderboard, and the top 50 individuals will win a book from one of our NextGen speakers. So you don't want to miss out on that opportunity. And for those of you that are just joining, well, welcome. By way of introductions, my name is Emily Jarvis, and I am a events manager here at GovLoop. So thank you all so much for being with us today. And we're going to kick things off by doing a vibe check. I want to know how you're feeling, how things are going for you within the summit. So go ahead and answer that poll. And while you do, I'm going to go over a few reminders for those of you that are just joining. First things first, if you're on Twitter, please share what you learn alongside us using the hashtag NextGenGov. We have some great resources available for you to download both here within this session and on the environment as a whole. So make sure you're checking out all of those resources. If you do need to access the closed captioning feature, just look for the icon on the bottom right-hand side of the media player. That's where my face is showing up right now. And that's where you can find that added accessibility. Of course, we hope you don't have any technical difficulties, but if you do, send us a message to that Q&A tab, and my colleague Maddie will get your questions answered. And here's the secret sauce, friends, because it's in that same portal where you can ask our experts questions. So don't you dare be shy. Put your questions in early and often. You can, of course, also chat with your fellow attendees in the group chat or attendee chat button. Throw your comments and thoughts in there. We'd love to hear what you are learning alongside us. And of course, if you miss a few tidbits here and there, don't you worry. We'll email you a link to the entire event tomorrow, so you'll be able to see that directly in your inbox. You can take all the sessions again, download all the resources, all that good stuff. All right, let's check in on our poll. And the vibe is ready to go. And I need some more coffee. And I could not agree with this assessment more. I think I need more coffee, although I'm not sure my heart could really withstand more coffee. So we'll see. We'll see how things go. But I'm right there with you for those of you that are feeling a little sluggish. Before we jump into our wonderful content, though, I do want to take a moment to thank all of our wonderful NextGen Alliance partners, American University School of Public Affairs, Blue Cross Blue Shield, WAPA, Government White Papers, and Code for America. This event wouldn't be possible without their support, so big props to them. All right, so for our first keynote, we are going to be talking about a topic that I personally really struggle with, and that's why no should be your career superpower. And here to tell us how to make no a superpower is Rebecca Ayers, who is the Deputy Associate Director for HR Solutions for the Center of Leadership Development at the Office of Personnel Management. Rebecca, thank you so much for being with us today.
Emily, I am so excited to be here. I'm going to try to replicate your energy and bring some energy, as I know many folks are taking their lunch break for this keynote. So instead of keynoting in front of a group where we're all sitting there and eating lunch, we're virtual. And I'm calling in from a very sunny Raleigh, North Carolina, where when I think about it, maybe I should have said no to this and gone and enjoyed a little bit of time outside. But I'm glad to be here with everyone today. Are we ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do this. So Emily, I am very curious to learn a little bit more about the audience that I have. And so I know I've got one poll question to kick us off, because what I want to know is how many of you struggle with saying no? Because my hope is in the next 20, 25 minutes that I can help you learn a little bit about how to make saying no your superpower, and how to make taking the time to step back and not always say yes to everything help you balance your life and balance your work life and everything. So in the last week, have you said yes to something that you know you did not have the bandwidth to take on? Or have you said no to something because because I can't even read my writing here, because you knew you did not have the bandwidth to take it on? So basically, how in tuned are you to understanding what your bandwidth is, what your priorities are in life, and how much those dictate whether you say yes or no to opportunities? So I'll give that a few minutes. And what I hope to do today is just talk a little bit about why saying no is important. What are the results of when you don't say no? What does it mean to you and your health? And then what are some strategies to help you appropriately say no when you really, really want to say yes? And then what are some things, what are some just simple strategies that you can take on to begin to live this out and understand who you are, your values, to make every time you get an opportunity to evaluate that and determine whether you need to say yes or say no. So Emily, I'm curious, are we getting some results back?
Yes. We'll give them like 10 more seconds. I will say,
All right.
Rebecca, I want to be honest with you and say I'd said no to something because I didn't have the bandwidth. And of course, this is the week my toddler also gets sick. So I wish I could say that I said no, but I did say yes. I need you. I need you here with me.
Well, hopefully you learn some of these. Emily, I will tell you, it is something that I don't always do a great job at either, because we get excited about opportunities. We get excited to be asked to do things. And so it's easy to say yes. Or for some of us, we really thrive on helping others. And so saying yes comes easily and comes naturally. But then oftentimes, many of us regret it down the road when we've said yes to too many things. So I like that. I think we've got a nice, healthy balance here of individuals who know when to say no, and then individuals who have a little bit of that. Yes, I can't resist that opportunity. I wanted to talk about why saying no is important, and I'm going to start with a couple of examples that I've seen just recently here in my life. The first thing is we often find ourselves overcommitted. There's a real culture now to being busy, right? People ask, hey, how are you doing? And the immediate thing you say, well, I'm busy. Everybody thinks that it's important to be busy and that we need to be busy. But what happens is that we take on too much. So a couple of weeks ago, I was asked to put together a task force and run the task force. And when I looked at my calendar over the next several months, I realized that I just was not going to have the bandwidth. And while I really, really wanted to help this organization and run this task force, I reluctantly said no. However, it was interesting because we began to make calls to others, and there was another woman who said yes. But she said, I might be a little hard up for joining because I'm currently on 8 other boards and running 2 galas. And she still said yes. And I was a little bit aghast, and I almost wanted to pull back the opportunity from that individual, because I said, hey, this is a really good example of somebody who maybe doesn't know how to say no. The other thing too is thinking an overcommitment is you find yourself in a circumstance where maybe you didn't intend to get there, but it happens. My husband serves on a number of nonprofit and industry boards. And one year he found himself, because in the natural occurrence, when you join a board, oftentimes you get elevated up. And one year he found himself chair of 3 different boards. And I think I saw him very little over that year, as he was committed both to work and to those boards. He thought he could do it all. He did it all, but it did come at a cost, and he got himself overcommitted. Another thing that we do is we overestimate. We honestly really think we can do it all, right? And in fact, even this morning, as I was out for my morning jog and I was thinking about the things I needed to take on today, I thought, well, I can squeeze this all into these hours that I have in the day. And we're really good as a human species to just overestimate our capabilities. And what happens at the end of the day is we find we weren't able to check all those boxes. We weren't able to get all the pieces done because we just overestimated what we can actually do. And so sometimes just saying no to a few things gives us a little bit more bandwidth, a little bit more room to navigate through. I think we also say no because we have this personal, innate desire to contribute. I know my background, my career has been with the federal government, and I feel committed to public service. And so anytime there's an opportunity to be at the center of it all or to be helpful, I have found myself volunteering for activities. I just have a personal need and desire to contribute. But again, what do we find? Sometimes we overcommit and end up in situations where we just simply don't have the bandwidth to contribute, or we end up, as we find, we don't have the emotional capabilities or the mind frame to be able to contribute because we've overcommitted ourselves. In fact, Gallup's recent study, when they looked at federal government employees, and I'm particularly interested in this coming from the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, is that 1 out of every 4 government employees report that they very often or always feel burned out at work. Another 2 in 5 report that they sometimes feel burned out. And so this is telling me that need to be to personally contribute and to add value often comes at a cost at work when we overcommit ourselves to work. And workload was the #1 reason cited in that Gallup survey as the major factor for contributing to government employee burnout. So there's some real consequences when we don't say no. And in fact, I did a little bit of research coming into this to try to figure out what are some of those consequences. And it's really dire when you look at the data. So first, productivity suffers. Our U.S. Surgeon General said that when mental health of workers suffers, so does the workplace productivity, creativity, and retention. Our performance suffers at work. So individuals who experience that burnout that I talked about, that Gallup says that 1 in 4 of us have, show a notable shift in their mindset towards performance, making employees less likely to discuss performance goals. They resist coaching. They focus on problems rather than on opportunities. And so this negative shift, obviously negatively affects both individual performance, but then it affects our organization performance. And I'm particularly concerned because many of us have a mission here with the federal government to serve the American citizen. And that causes us to suffer in our ability to have success there as well. So productivity suffers, performance suffers, personal well-being suffers. The National Institutes of Health recently did a study that reported 3 dimensions of burnout have been described as emotional exhaustion, right? So characterized by that like emotional depletion and loss of energy. How many of you at the end of the day get home or get to the weekend and you're just emotionally exhausted? You don't find work energizing anymore because you've overcommitted to too many things at work, or maybe you've overcommitted to too many things in your personal life and it's caused that emotional exhaustion. It can also lead to depersonalization or cynicism, which can lead to dehumanization, detachment from like work and clients and customers. It can create an emotional hardening with us. And it can also reduce personal accomplishment or actually create us to be, instead of more efficient, inefficient. And so then that begins to impact us emotionally in terms of feeling either personal or professional inadequacy. As we realize that we can't do it all. So when you take on too much and you can't do it all, it does have that repercussions on you as an individual in the workplace. The other thing I found from the National Institutes of Health study was burnout is a significant predictor of real physical consequences. So things like type 2 diabetes, coronary heart disease. A number of people end up being hospitalized due to cardiovascular disorder or other pain or prolonged fatigue, headaches. You go on, the list goes on of the actual physical things that happen to us when we begin to experience burnouts. And so we have to be like cognitively aware of when we get opportunities to really balance and say, is this something I can take on? Because I realize that after taking on too much, it is going to cause burnout, and this is going to have real impact on my life and how I want to manage my life. So what are some strategies, right? So how do we get from saying yes to saying no? And before I get into those strategies, I had a great conversation with a colleague, and she said she realized early on in her career that she really liked saying yes. She just said yes to everything. And so one of the things that she did is she set this rule for herself that she would wait 24 hours before saying yes to anything. And that helped her really begin to think through and decide whether or not that was an opportunity that she wanted to explore or could take on. But just even the act of setting that personal rule in her life had allowed her to begin to say no more frequently, so she's not in the moment and in the emotion of being asked to do something or be given an opportunity to jump on it. So I offer that as just a little bit of an extra nugget. It was just something I had this week where she voluntarily told me, this is what I've done that has worked well, and it's helped me set boundaries in my life. So along with that, be realistic with yourself about your capabilities, right? So set boundaries around those. For example, use the advice my friend gave me, or do things where you set time blocks. Set a time block for lunch during the day. Don't make decisions at the end of the day. Research shows that we're often very fatigued at the end of the day and probably a little bit more willing to say yes. And so if you know at the end of work days and you're getting asked, say, hey, let me think about this, or let me sleep on it. That's something I often talk to colleagues about. Let's sleep on this and come back and see whether or not this is still a good idea, or this is still something that we want to pursue. Also, regularly communicate with your supervisor and your colleagues, and be realistic with your colleagues about your priorities and your work commitments. If you don't already have regular check-ins with your boss, do that to communicate around workload and priorities. Lean into your supervisor for support on prioritizing your workload. Ask them to help you figure out what's the most important thing that I need to be working on at this point in time. Help me figure out how I can say no when opportunities come. Help me understand what's important for my career and the opportunities I should be saying yes to. Another good strategy is just always be straightforward, right? So avoid saying maybe or I don't know. If you can't do it, just say it. I can't do it. Be direct. And I know that's hard because I'm from the South. I realize that we like to say yes, and we want to be pleasant and pleasing to everyone. But being direct is kindness. And we say clarity is kindness. And so when you're clear whether or not you can do something, it is actually kindness. And you're not leaving someone on the hook thinking that you might come back in a day or two and say yes. So if you know in your gut that it's time to say no, just say no and be direct and stand by it. And one of the other things that you can do when you say no is, offer alternatives. So when you can't help, show that you're still there by saying, hey, maybe this other individual might be interested in this opportunity, or here might be another solution for you to achieve this work without me. And that can help a little bit stem the feeling of I'm disappointing this individual because I can't say no. The other thing that you can do is just be honest, right? Be honest about why you can't do something rather than make up excuses. Man, we are so good at thinking of excuses that aren't real. And then that doesn't make us feel any better when we've said a little bit of a white lie to get out of something. Just be honest. And I faced this, the example I gave early on, where I had an opportunity, but I looked at my calendar and I said, there's no way I can take on this task with the other commitments I have going forward. And I said that very clearly to the individual. I said, I'm committed to X, Y, and Z over the next 3 months. And I just don't think I will have the time or be able to give this my all if I take this on. And they really appreciated that honesty and that I had given this thought and that I was giving them a thoughtful no. It's also okay to apologize. It's perfectly fine to say, hey, I'm really sorry, I can't help you with this. That can also help soften the answer and demonstrate, what we often feel, which is we do feel bad when it takes time when we have to say no and we can't take an opportunity. I like to think there are a couple of polite ways to say no would be like, hey, I really appreciate the offer, but I can't. Or, hey, I'm really honored. Thank you for thinking of me, but I can't do this at this time. Or I would love to do this, but I can't. Or thank you so much for thinking of me, but I can't do this activity or this event or this opportunity at this time. And so those are easy ways that you can bring that into your lingo when you do have to say no and you can't commit, where you recognize the ask, but then you also are establishing your boundary and your understanding of whether or not you can take this particular activity on. So just to sort of round up and close, I want to spend a few minutes just talking about what are some other simple strategies to make saying no your career superpower. I already talked about know your boundaries. I would say the best place to start with boundaries is through a little bit of self-reflection. I heard a great quote in the last few months that says, pay attention to what you pay attention to. So when you're driving in the car or when you're, whatever is your time, when you've got a few minutes alone, think about what are the things in my life that I pay attention to? And let me pay attention to those. And what of those things are important to me? Think about what you want and need in life and in your career. and what type of opportunities you want to explore and pursue. Because oftentimes when we say yes to too many things, it limits our ability to say yes to the right opportunities. So I would suggest spend some time writing down what is important to you and then reflect on where you spend your time in those areas. Get up early one morning, maybe tonight before you go to bed, write down, hey, these are the 3 things that are really important to me that either are important to me from a values perspective or important to me for my career and where I want to go and what I want to pursue in life. And reflect on, am I really spending time pursuing these activities? And I would keep your list of 3, 4, maybe 5 things. Because if you have more than 3 or 4 or 5, then everything kind of becomes a priority. So when you narrow it down and really focus on how am I managing myself? How can I improve managing my time against these areas that are important to me will help clarify when you can say yes and no. And back to that example of, waiting 24 hours before you say yes to something, maybe it gives you an opportunity to pull up that sheet of paper and say, hey, would this opportunity advance me in any of these career goals or these personal life goals that I have? The other thing I recommend is identify and set your values. I talked about pay attention to what you pay attention to. Consider what is important to you. What do you actually enjoy doing? I think oftentimes we say yes to things and we get in the middle of it and we're like, why are we here? Why are we spending time on this? I don't even like this activity. I don't even like interacting with these people. I don't even like contributing to this event. But we said yes because in the moment it seemed like the right thing to do. But really get to know yourself and know your values and think about, where do you want to spend your free time? What would you do if you had no limitations in life, right? If you could just take on a job, take on maybe even a volunteer activity with no limits, what would it be? And so some personal values, I know most of us think of, family and faith and public service, but think about other personal values, something maybe like creativity. Like, I really enjoy being able to think outside the box and generate new ideas. Is this an opportunity? Is this an activity that will allow me to be creative in life? Or think about maybe you have a value like loyalty, where you have commitment and follow through in your professional and personal life, and you're deeply loyal to your family. Hey, where does this opportunity that I could say yes or no to begin to run up against my ability to have that deep commitment of loyalty to my family and friends and the time that I spend with them? So think outside the box in terms of, what are your values? What do you truly appreciate and value in life? I also recommend find a coach or create your own circle of advisors. Have others help you learn to set your boundaries and your values and hold you accountable for achieving them. One of the things that has been really effective in my career is having coaches throughout my career, or having a close-knit circle of friends that I can go to and bounce ideas off of them, bounce opportunities off of them. Is this a good opportunity to explore or pursue? Is this an activity I want to take on? Have them help you sort through and weigh, and have them understand what are your values and what are your boundaries, so that they can help you be accountable to that. I also and in closing would say, invest in yourself, right? Invest in yourself through training, through coaching opportunities. Here at OPM, we offer leadership and development training and coaching. You can find out more about it at leadership.opm.gov. But these are opportunities to do individual assessments to understand yourself, know what's important to you, know how you what your personality is, how you tick, what are your traits. Get to know yourself, and then invest in yourself in training to help build you to understand where your strengths are and how you can use your strengths in choosing those opportunities. So in closing, I hope this was helpful in just figuring out, hey, where do I say no? How can I make that a superpower? How can I define those boundaries, set those values, so when I say yes to things, I can move in confidence that they're following the things that I want to pursue in life. So with that, Emily, I'll turn it back over to you to lead us on.
Yeah, thank you so much. You definitely gave me a whole lot to think about when it comes to saying no and creating boundaries that are going to be better for everyone. I do have one tiny quick question to ask you, though, because we got a few people that mentioned it, and I know you got to head out of here soon. But the question is, how do you say no when it's sort of a more direct ask from a superior? New opportunities like a stretch goal or something that makes more sense. But if it's a direct ask, but your plate is already full, any advice there?
I think you've got to be open. And that's a great question because we are oftentimes asked to take on more than we can. And I think that's when you have an open and honest conversation with your supervisor or with that director and say, hey, I want to help you understand this is the portfolio of work that I have on my plate or other things that I'm working on. I really want to support you in this ask, but I need you to help me understand what can I take off my plate so I can make this a priority and get accomplished for you. I think oftentimes we're scared to ask because we don't want to seem like we don't have the capacity to do everything. But the truth is that we really don't. And I will tell you, if you've got a good supervisor and someone who understands these principles as well, they'll see and they'll help you figure out because they realize we can't do everything. And they'll appreciate the honesty of recognizing, I want to give you my best in this activity, but in order for me to give you my best to complete this task, I'm going to have to move some other things off my plate. So have that dialogue with your supervisor or boss.
Definitely. All right. Thanks, Rebecca. We really appreciate it. And I know our audience does too. They're throwing it in the chat, but thank you so much.
Well, I'm so glad to be here. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. All right. I need a drum roll because right now I get the privilege of unveiling the 15th annual NextGen Public Service Award winners. The awards honor 12 amazing federal, state, and local government employees for their public service to their community, for their intelligence, exuberance, dedication, all geared towards improving and invigorating government. So let's get right to it, friends, because in the category of advancing technology, this award recognizes forward thinkers who use technology as part of their approach to transformation. These individuals are innovative for trying to move their agency to tools such as artificial intelligence or machine learning that allow employees more time to do mission critical work. And the winners are Kavita Deepak, who is the Chief Information Officer for the City of Irvine in California, and Stephen Heinz, who is the Chief Data Officer for the Department of Child Safety for the state of Arizona. Join me in congratulating these two on their awesome achievements. Way to go, Kavita and Stephen. All right, up next in the category of managers or supervisors of the year, this is an award that recognizes those who go above and beyond for their team and individual contributors. They care about their team, show up for them, listen to their ideas, and advocate for their needs to upper management, which we know is critically important. So drum roll, please. The winners in this category are Brita Anderchek, who is the Chief Data Officer and the Director of the Office of Data Analytics and Business Intelligence for the City of Dallas, and Kirsten Shea, who is the Health Management Administrator for the Department of Corrections for the state of Connecticut. Congratulations to both of you. We need more wonderful managers in our lives. All right. Up next, we have outstanding colleagues, and this category recognizes an individual who goes above and beyond the day-to-day requirements, whether they volunteer to run meetings, contribute ideas, or help colleagues in need. You can always count on them to pull their weight and more. And the winners here, drum roll, drum roll. Why are my fingers doing weird drum rolls? Anyways, the winners are Gina Kim, who is the Director of Design, Office of Technology and Innovation for the City of New York, and Jimmy Nugent-Schluter, who is the Third Maintenance Group for Joint Base Emberhoff in Richardson, Alaska. Congratulations to both of you. All right. Up next, and in a very critically important category, we have the DEIA Champions category, which recognizes an individual who is passionate about diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in the workplace. They have actively improved or implemented process initiatives, training, awareness, or other efforts that promote DEIA at their organization. And the winners in this category are Ginny Guptial, who is the Chief for the Office of Research, Support, and Compliance at the National Institutes of Health, and Celeste Espinoza for Digital Services Expert Design for the U.S. Digital Services. Congratulations to you both. You are out there doing incredibly important work. In the area of communication, we have our Communicators of the Year, and this category recognizes an individual who demonstrates strategic communication both internally and externally at their organization. This person will push the envelope to find innovative ways to share their message while keeping their employees and stakeholders engaged. Communication is more important than ever before, and our winners in these categories are Kat Compton, who is the Region 10 Climate Coordinator at the United States Environmental Protection Agency, and Tyson Persek, who is the IT specialist at the Department of Veterans Affairs. And in our final category here, in the Innovators of the Year, this category recognizes individuals who have identified and improved their organization, whether this employee improved remote work, hybrid work, brought a process up to date, or found a way to enhance their organization's culture. They're doing it in creative and new ways. And our winners in this category are Carla Maffett, who is the Deputy Director for Project Delivery and Coordination and Strategy at the Federal Railroad Administration, and Andrew Singleton, who is the Director for Alzheimer's and Related Dementias at the National Institute of Aging within the National Institutes of Health. Join me in congratulating not just these two, but all 12 of our winners. They are doing truly incredible work, and we really appreciate having them do this for our organization. So thank you so much to them. And if you want to learn a little bit more about them, we do have a write-up, which you can find in the resource section right now. And we're also going to play here a short clip of them telling us why they work in public service. So here is that quick video.
I'm in public service because I feel there are unique things about the entity that I work at, NIH, that means we can make progress in a different way and at a different scale and at a different speed than anywhere else in the world. So it's just an incredibly enabling environment and an exciting environment.
I am in public service because I want to make a difference. It's how I got started with this. I wanted to make an impact, and knowing that part of my hopeful legacy when it comes to working with the government is going to be making an impact for our passenger and freight rail across the country.
I am in public service because this is where I grew up. I've watched how services grow and change over the years, and my work and my vision is not quite done, so there's still places to go, and until I get there, they got me. I'm stuck here. I'm not leaving until my work is done.
I am in public service because I want to help people. I'm in public service because I feel that the reason that I am on this planet is to help other people who need me. It's to speak for those who don't have a voice and to use data to make the case that they deserve and need better from us in government. And my final answer is I'm in public service because Leslie Knope is my spirit animal.
I am in public service because I truly believe in the mission of the NIH. The NIH's mission really is to seek ways to help improve the health of all people. And what a great place to be able to work and help people with health disparities, health issues. We have the freedom of not having to worry about stockholders or profit margins or even corporate buyouts. We have that ability to simply focus on ensuring the health of our participants and for people around the world.
I'm in public service because it is the most fascinating and complex space that you could ever possibly work in.
I am in government, in public service, specifically with the city of Irvine because it's personal for me. Irvine is home. This is where I've lived for the last 20 plus years. So to give back to the community is something that is very personal, very emotional for me, and that's why I'm here today.
I'm in public service because it matters.
I'm in public service because I enjoy helping people. With a doctor and a nurse as my parents, I grew up in an environment where service to others was just what people did for their careers. I earned a degree in computer science and through some lucky breaks found my way into public service.
I am in public service because I am deeply motivated by the mission of protecting human health and the environment. I get to wake up every single day and think about what one small thing can I do to help protect human health and the environment? How can I move the goal of that forward just a little bit every single day?
I'm in public service because I love what I do. I just want to make a difference to everyone. Supervisor, playing every role I've had since joining the military. I've enjoyed it. Good times.
I'm in public service because I want to make digital experiences accessible to everybody.
Well, if that doesn't make your heart happy, I'm not sure what does, but congratulations again to our 12 award finalists. I really strongly recommend you checking out the award booklet, visiting the NextGen award winners booth within the exhibit hall, and just thanking them. Many of them are here in the audience today, but great work for them. But the great content is not over because we have one of my favorite kind of topics and speakers to close out this lunch hour, where we're going to be talking about how to be the boss of your own career, the values of networks. And we've got the wonderful Dr. Serilda Herbin with us today. She is a director of DEIA and a management analyst within the federal government. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Absolutely. So listen, my first assignment is to see if you all are awake in the chat.
Ooh.
So my first thing that I want to do is I want you all to put the year that you graduated from high school. Let's see what's going to happen in this chat. And you don't have to, it's not required, but I want to see who we have in the room. I want to see if I have any classmates in the room, first of all. So as I'm getting started, I just want to say thank you again. I am Dr. Sorrel DeHerben, and I am a program analyst and management analyst for the federal government. I am a prior diversity director for my organization, and I am looking forward to having this conversation with you all today. So be the boss of your own career. I'm seeing a lot of years pop up in the chat. 2014, oh my goodness, you just graduated a couple of days ago. No, I'm just kidding. 1993, 98, 88, 91, 2006, okay, 87, 90. So we have 80s, 90s, and okay, I love it. I love it. 1977, you graduated from high school, and I was 1 year old. Okay, I just want you to know that 1977. 1977 is a good year because I have siblings that were born in that year too. I still have a 1976 high school graduate in this group. Wow. Okay, 70s, 80s, and 90s are in the group. I love it. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Okay, listen. All right, that was my icebreaker because I am absolutely a chat facilitator. I don't mind seeing your thoughts as we're going along. So feel free to use the chat. Emily will stop me if she needs to stop me if there are any questions or comments. But the second thing is second. I've already done the first thing. I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to create 7 blocks on it. Big enough to write in. 7 blocks. Because when we finish, I want you to keep this as a reminder. Because today I'm going to talk to you about the 7 building blocks of networking. Okay, let's jump right in. The first one, opportunity. The first block is opportunity. Okay, you cannot move forward in anything that you're doing unless you have the opportunity to perform, to get the job, to get in the room with the right people. You have to make sure that opportunity is present as one of your building blocks of networking. Okay, opportunity. Number 2, and I'm going through these so we can go back, okay? Number 2 is access. Number 1 was opportunity. Number 2 is access, okay? Having access to diverse perspectives. I'm seeing 512 attendees on this call. What better way to have access to different people? If I were to do an exercise in the chat again to say, what is your job title? Do you realize how much we will gain by seeing who's in the room? Just from you putting your title in the chat. Someone else in this group could say, wait, I need someone in that particular expertise to do something for me next month in terms of speaking. We never know who's in the room, and we never know who we have access to. We have access to 512 people in this room, literally right now. You probably didn't think of it that way. Number 3, number 1 was opportunity. Number 2 was access. Number 3 is support. We have to have support networks and support systems. You have to have networks that's going to take you to the next level. You have to have networks that you can vent to. You don't want to vent to your boss that your boss is getting on your nerves. That's not the right person, okay? So you've got to have different circles for different things. In order for you to continue to develop where you're going, you have to have support. And you have to have support in different ways, okay? Number 4, number 1 was opportunity. Number 2 was access. Number 3 was support. Number 4 is visibility. Your personal branding is everything, okay? You want to be able in your workplace, and this is what we're talking about from the workplace perspective, but many of you may have small businesses, you may work in the community, as we saw with the last public service announcement with the 12 amazing people that got the awards, public service. You have to have your own visibility and personal branding when you're talking about moving and advancing forward. In other words, be the go-to person. How many of you on here are the go-to person for something? It may not necessarily be in your current job. You may be on a subcommittee of some sort, and you could be the go-to person because of your expertise. Understand that your visibility matters. You can't be used if people don't see you, if they don't hear you, if they don't realize that you exist. Okay? So the first one was opportunity. The second one was access. The third one was support. The fourth one was visibility. The fifth one is development. We have to be lifelong continuous learners. Okay. Even in these sessions, everyone that I've attended or have spoken for, I've learned something. I've learned something that I did not know before. I'm sure when we get to the end of this, you'll be able to say the same thing. Okay. Relevant and competitive. We want to remain relative and competitive. Okay. So we have to develop ourselves. Some of us may have to upskill. Some of us may have to reskill. Some of us may change professional spaces altogether in order to move up. In the federal government, there's a phrase that many people say, in order for you to move up, you may have to move out. In order for you to move up, you may have to move out. So think of those things. Think of the relevancy of development, okay? So here we are. Opportunity is 1, access is 2, support is 3, visibility is 4, development is 5, flexibility is 6. Flexibility is your 6th building block. Now, we have to explore different career paths or even skill sets that we can add to our current career path to supplement what we already know. We have to be flexible. We don't want to be the person at work that says, even though we just had a session on how to say no, we also don't want to be the person that always says no. There has to be a balance. There may be something that someone gives you that they realize, wait, I saw her work another project and she moves extremely fast. This is not circumventing or diminishing anyone else, but we've got to get this done fast. She already has a skill set. Guess what else? There are skill sets that 506 of us that are on this call have that your boss may not even know about. Or they may see you in the community and realize, wait, she has expertise in that. Let's pull on her network to see if we can get this done faster or more efficient. We don't have to start from scratch. You know, there's a quote from Arthur Ashe that says, use what you got, do what you can, and start where you are. Sometimes we have to remember that when we're getting work done, okay? So here we are. Number 1 is opportunity. Number 2 is access. Number 3 is support. Number 4 is visibility. Number 5 is development. Number 6 is flexibility. And number 7 is trust and reciprocity. Trust and reciprocity. Just create goodwill wherever you go. Create goodwill. Pay it forward. Go the extra mile. Help someone that you may not necessarily help because they all tie together. The building blocks tie all together. Emily may need me for something that's not even related to GovLoop. I may need Emily and say, hey, Emily, you are an amazing speaker and you're an amazing MC. Hey, I'm having this thing. I want you to be the MC. Has nothing necessarily to do with our work. It could be something outside of the government. Trust and reciprocity. When you build relationships, it matters. When you're building those relationships and you establish them, that's the engine. Trust and reciprocity. When we need each other, we don't want to introduce ourselves. Hey, Emily, this is Sorrelda. Hey, can you create this 12-page, onboarding thing by tomorrow? Like, girl, I don't even know you. Like, what are you talking about? So trust and reciprocity and how you build that is extremely important. Okay, so we've got our 7 building blocks. We've got opportunity, we've got access, we've got support, we've got visibility, we've got development, we've got flexibility, we've got trust and reciprocity, and then I'm going to leave you with some parting thoughts, okay? The first parting thought is be proactive. Be proactive. There are some things that your boss or your supervisor or your team lead are waiting for you to do. They're waiting for you to make the next move to see if you're capable of moving to the next level, the next project, a high visibility project. Be proactive. The second one, be genuine. Be yourself. No one wants to see your representative. I don't know any other way to show up except myself, okay? Don't try and be your boss. Don't try and be your peer. There's nothing wrong with modeling after a behavior in someone to move forward, but it's absolutely something wrong with trying to be someone else. Be genuine. Be kind to others. You never know what a person is going through. Even though we're in a work environment, we are still human beings. Emily talked about it earlier about her child. She's very open, she's very honest, and guess what? To me, that means her family means something to her. She doesn't put her family second. She's not putting her job second either, but she's not putting her family second. So her balance in personal and professional, even though the balance on the personal side with the little baby or young child is like, no, you're going to give me all your time. I get it. I got a 21-year-old and a 16-year-old, so I completely understand, okay? Be genuine. Stay engaged. The third one is stay engaged. You have to understand what's going on around you in order to contribute to it. I facilitated another presentation, and one of the things that I constantly say is nest your language into the organization's language. If you don't know the language of the organization, you're like a fish out of water. Use the terminology that already exists, okay? Stay engaged. And then lastly, leverage social media. How many of you can put a Y or no or an N, how many of you have seen the announcement of this actual event on social media? How many of you are here because you saw it on social media? How many of you are here because somebody told you you better come? I know Emily was like bullying you all. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But this is important, okay? And I want to say this very clearly. Contrary to popular belief, LinkedIn is a form of social media. So when you think social media, we're not talking just TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. We're not just talking to X. We're not just talking about those things. Social media is not just for personal use. Many people are getting opportunities through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not the only venue either. So keep that in mind as we're going forward. Now, as I wrap up today, I'm happy that I have a few minutes to be able to answer and field questions if there are any. So I want to thank you all for your time. I hope you have learned something about the building blocks of networking and why it's important, because it is. There, again, I'm looking at the amount of people that are on this presentation, and it's amazing to me. We just gained 506 people, and that is amazing to have in your network. So again, thank you, Emily, for the opportunity. Thank you all that are in attendance that gave me a few minutes to talk to you about the 7 building blocks of networking. And I hope that they were useful to you on today. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And if you think you're escaping without some questions, well, you are very wrong, because we have plenty of them that are coming in here a little bit. Okay, so first things first, I love all of your tips. And I think, one of the things that has really struck me is that in the past couple of years, the way that we work has changed, right? Not everyone's going into the office. Some people are remote. Some people are hybrid. Some people are fully back in the office. But the after work has definitely changed. You don't see as many people hopping over to team happy hours or things like that. They still happen, but they don't happen as much. So how can you, in this current world, really get to know some of your colleagues a little bit better, or embrace kind of this new world that we're working in, when perhaps getting to know folks isn't as straightforward as it might have been in the past?
Yeah, sure. That's a really good question. What I will say is awareness, kind of plugging into people, even if you're on Teams, if you're using email primarily. Some of us on here may be remote. I am telework, situational telework, but the majority of my time is teleworking. And then I actually go into the office as well, at least a week out of every pay period. And that really depends on if I'm doing trainings and facilitations like I'm doing now. I may go in more, but there is an understanding. I believe that the balance of, and I don't like to say work-life balance, I flip it and say life-work balance, because life is going to be there. This job for all 505 of us that are on here can go away today, but you will still have to live. So you have to manage around that. So here's the other thing. I actually conducted that presentation or that practical exercise at the beginning for a reason. It took me less than 5 seconds to get people to respond. Less than 5 seconds. I could go back in this transcript and see every name. I mean, I've really collected data. I collected data on age. I collected data on possible personalities, how people work. I mean, obviously it's not to the letter, but there is so much information that I can gather from what I just shared. I could talk to the person that was graduated from high school in 1976, and we can pull them and say, hey, tell us a little bit about that. I didn't graduate until 1994. That's a big gap. Instantly a conversation takes place. Instantly connection happens. We underestimate the power of connection. We have got to find creative ways. I don't want to give you a cookie cutter answer because everybody is different. Every organization's culture is different, but people are people. And everyone wants to be connected. So I'll leave it there. I know there may be other questions.
There are. All right. So there are. Yeah, no, there are. So first, can you do a quick recap of your 7 blocks? People were jotting them down, but they might have missed one. So give me a recap of your 7 blocks.
Yes, ma'am. Number 1 is opportunity. Number 2 is access. Number 3 is support. Number 4 is visibility. Number 5 is development. Number 6 is flexibility. Number 7 is trust and reciprocity. And then the 4 final points that I gave was be proactive, be genuine, stay engaged, and leverage social media.
All right. I love it. All right. Great question in here. And it says, how do you remain genuine and authentic when others seem to have a problem with you speaking up? So sometimes the culture of an organization might be different than how you would authentically show up. And we could get into a long debate about what that means for the workforce or the culture within it. But if you're in a place where you don't feel, let's say, protected, or in a place where you feel secure enough to be your authentic self, what are some strategies that you can employ there?
So I have, of course, for me, I am a retired Army officer for the record, and now I work for the federal government. And I also have my own small business centered around coaching. But one of the things that I do want to say is I've been in environments where I felt like a fish out of water. And for me, I will learn, as I spoke about earlier, I had to learn the language of the organization. And I'll back up a little bit to my mentor who had instructed me to apply for this particular job. I applied for 10 jobs in this particular time frame, and I said, okay, this last one, I'm gonna just throw it in. I applied for the 10th job, and I got the 10th job on my list. I'm like, how did I get the 10th job? And I only put it on there as a placeholder, which was crazy to me because I didn't think I qualified. Did the interview, was told, hey, we were supposed to interview 22 people. You were the second one, and we didn't interview anyone after you. Wow, I'm flattered. Well, now I'm scared at the same time because they saw something. And my mentor said, wait a minute, what are you nervous for? I said, I don't know the culture of this organization. I've never worked in an organization like this. And he said something to me that was so powerful, and I'm going to share it with you all. Sorelda, you don't know the organizational culture, but you know people. And that's half the battle. You're dealing with people every day. You're dealing with how to gain relationship with them every day. So that's one thing. Go in and build relationships first. Okay. I don't care if it's the most antagonistic person in the entire organization. There is something that you two have in common.
Yeah.
I will tell you what my first lady at church says: get your feelings out of the way and get them saved. Okay? You have to. All right? Get your feelings saved. All right? But seriously, you have to make sure that you understand your why. You were hired for a job. There are people around you that have probably already been there, and they probably have something that you need. It is going to require work on your side, but it is going to take a foundational effort of building relationships. Secondly and lastly, if it is that bad where you cannot plug in, maybe you should unplug and plug in somewhere else. I don't often say that because it's not as easy as I'm saying it, because some people are where they are and they can't go anywhere else. So if you have the option to move out in order to move into a different culture that is more receptive to you, do that. If you have to stay where you are, you're going to have to learn how to build relationships and remain connected. So I'll leave that there.
All right. 2 final questions for you, because we'll give folks a little break between the next session. So you could probably tell, and our attendees can as well, that some of us have big personalities, but not everybody has a big personality. So if you're a little bit quieter, how can you still have these connections where maybe reaching out to someone doesn't feel really natural and doesn't make you feel as comfortable as maybe others who are more quote unquote extroverted feel?
You know, this is hard to believe, I know, but I am an extroverted introvert. I speak, I teach, I preach, I write, I'm an author. I do all of those communicative things. But when I'm done with all of that, I want to hide under the bed. I don't get my energy from being around 499 people at one time. After a while, in my brain, I say, okay, we're going to do this for an hour and a half. If we're there 3 hours, I'm going to shut down. You all are not going to like me anymore. I'm going to feel irritated. Like, why are we still here? Now, don't get me wrong. This is some juicy stuff. I could stay on here all day, but we don't have that kind of time. But anyways, we have to know the people, number one, that we work with. And we should make an effort to know who those people are. The silent professionals are sometimes the most impactful. And we often look over them. Let's take this chat for an example. Okay, here's another 5-second exercise. What is everyone's favorite color? Just that quickly, I can say, okay, whoever says yellow, I'm going to pick them. On top of that, they don't have to communicate verbally to me. I don't have to see their faces, and they're probably extremely comfortable behind the screen. I'm extremely comfortable being a virtual presenter, but I am absolutely just as impactful as an in-person presenter. Everybody doesn't have the balance. We have to plug in, and we have to make sure that we don't unintentionally make them invisible in the organization. Hopefully that helps.
Definitely. All right. Final question for you. And this one goes, I think, a little bit to potentially being yourself, your authentic self, while also being professional. And again, we're using quote marks here because professional means different things to different people. But the question says, how do you keep your job or title as manager from not killing your personality and stunting your growth as a person? I think sometimes we can get put into these roles that have such defined qualifications that you think you need to act and be a certain way. How do you navigate, I need to be a professional that people look up to and that they listen to, while also, I'm just a little bit silly. And I'm not saying this person said that, I'm saying me, myself. How do you not let that personality out?
I would say I do let that personality out, but there's time and place. We have social events. We have happy hour. We have, like I just did with what's your favorite color? I mean, it didn't take me anything to do that. That was a random question. My next question is going to be, well, my last one is probably going to be, what do you all eat on your grits if you eat grits? Is it salt and pepper and butter? Is it sugar? If it's sugar, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. You can go ahead and log off because I don't trust you. So anyways, I want to see that as we close out. But I don't know that I don't share myself fully. I think the misnomer is that we just show up and we let it all out at one time. We don't do that anywhere. Think about K through 12. If somebody gave a first grader a history test for an 11th grader, it would make absolutely no sense to them. We have to time release who we are. Time releasing yourself is not a bad thing. My organization doesn't know everything about me, but do they have to? They may not need to. That doesn't mean you're not bringing your whole self. That means you're time releasing what you need when you need it. So hopefully that helps.
It does. And I got to say, there's quite the controversy brewing about grits in the chat. So
oh my gosh.
You have unleashed something that I didn't even know was hidden. But well, we don't even have time to get into all of that. But thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. We really appreciate it. And we got our 7 to-do list, our checklist to be thinking about as we head into the next session. Before everyone logs off, though, we do have our final poll question up right now. We want to know, do you think you're a good networker for yourself and your career? And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to put myself in the sometimes category here. I'm not always the best. But if you want to be my friend, you can find me on LinkedIn, of course, and we can become friends that way. But for this session, I want to remind folks, make sure you're taking that feedback survey so you can get your CPE credit. The next sessions start in 10 minutes. You've got 5 breakout sessions to choose from. In the meantime, maybe you can grab yourself a little snack, some lunch, grab some water. It's important to hydrate. We're always thinking through that as we're on these sessions. And as always, we really appreciate the time that you are spending with us today. So with that, I'm going to close out our lunch keynotes and we'll have you on to the next session in just a few minutes. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.